The only time that I think that there could have been some type of abuse was the first people that they sent to Fort Trumbull to do the negotiating for buying houses. I think that the person that they sent down there at the time, I can't think of the gentleman's name, that worked for the NLDC, he went down and almost like strong-armed people into selling their houses. And that wasn't right. And that has no reflection on the rest of the NLDC because there's good people that were doing a good job.
New London is traditionally, and still is, always has been, democratically controlled. The reason they reconstituted the NLDC is because they wanted to funnel the money through them rather than the democratically controlled city council, and that's why it was set up the way it was.
The city of New London, the city councilors, had the power of eminent domain. They turned it over to a private company, okay? I mean, New London NLDC, New London Development Corporation, I mean, they weren't an entity of the city. They were private, okay? You should never turn over that awesome power of eminent domain to some company that cannot be held accountable. And city councilors turned that power over to them. And I think they knew what was happening was wrong, and they didn't want to try, they were trying not to be associated. They wanted a scapegoat as far as I'm concerned.
The first words the real estate agents ever said were either you sell the property or we're going to take it by eminent domain. That sword was held over our heads, or that gun put to our head right from the very first conversation. That was the tool that they used. It was psychological in nature and tried to get you to just say, okay, well, it's inevitable, we'll just cave in, but we did not do that.
And the only message I really want to send to NLDC and the City Council is that we are happy for the development. We just want to be part of it. And the other message is, we won't go.
It was strategic planning to a degree, just what could we do? I mean, I think they felt on the other side that we were outmanned financially, intellectually, and every other way, and that we had no way to stop them or fight back against them. Well, unfortunately for them, they found out differently.
So this door came from 33 Smith Street in New London, Connecticut, the apartment building where I lived in Fort Trumbull. And when the building became abandoned, we took it and brought it here to New Hampshire. My name's Lauren Canario. I'm a protester, I guess, and moved from Las Vegas to New London, Connecticut. Those guys are so brave, it would be terrible if they lost their houses, so I decided I could go help them out. I could go rent a room in one of the buildings there and make it a little bit harder for them to throw the people out.
I never had a problem with the people who fought for their homes. There were other splinter groups that filed lawsuits against the overall plan that we wanted to do down in Fort Trumbull. And many of those people who were within that group did not live in the city of New London. So here you have a splinter group of people who don't live in the city of New London and trying to challenge an economic plan that would help the tax base in the city of New London.
We will now hear argument in the case of Kelo versus City of New London.
I think the key to understanding their argument is the answer to the question of can you take a Motel 6 and give it to a fancier hotel? Their answer is yes. The NLDC and the city have 32 acres that was given to them by the federal government for them to do as they wish. And our homeowners who have lived there a long time and wish to hold on to their properties do not object to that development going on.
See, we're told in the briefs that the people who often might hold out might do so to get more money, but it might also be because they're poorer, they're not well connected politically, and their only hope is to go to a court and stop this thing.
The NLDC is a private body. It has a private board of directors, and it is leasing land to a private developer for 99 years at $1 a year. That is private ownership of land. If there's no further questions, Your Honors, I will close. Thank you.
The case is submitted.
And you're taking the free choice of of the individual to say, I'm going to pass this home down to my son, my daughter, my nephew, or a complete stranger. And that's what was a shame. They took away the free choice of the marketplace for you.
This case was never about the taking of property from one person and giving it to another. This case was not some type of a land grab. This case was about the city of New London, its 6 square miles, and its economic survival.
Dr. Gordiani, who ran Connecticut College and was a big part of the NLDC, her husband was also an executive at Pfizer, I think in the Human Resource Department, and he was quoted as saying, people that work at Pfizer's don't want to drive by a neighborhood and look at tenement buildings on their way to work. That's how we were classified.
They had no regard for our feelings at all. They didn't treat the homeowners or the property owners with any dignity. And that is a difference. And I think things were just handled very poorly.
I was sitting on a porch in the Fort Trumbull neighborhood there in front of Michael Cristofaro's house and reading a book. I was watching over his garden, and the police or the city workers came to board up the windows, and I didn't stop them or even talk to them or anything, but the police came and said I had to get out of the way. I said, no, I don't have to get out of the way. I'll just read my book. And they said, if you don't get out of the way, we're going to arrest you. And so they dragged me off into the police car and kept me for 3 months that time. There was no way that I could get them to agree that what they were doing was wrong, so I just decided to be a monkey wrench in the gears of the justice system there and slow things down as far as I could.
Someone within the city called me up and said, you need to be down in Fort Trumbull today. And I said, why? He says, I can't tell you, but I think something's going to happen to the property. I went down. They tore the house down next door to me. So I went up to the demolition crews and said, you can tear down that house there? He wouldn't answer me. And sure enough, all of a sudden the bulldozer went right through the plants that they promised they were going to move for my father, which they never did. They just killed them. Okay, and they started tearing the house down. I ran over there to try to stop them. And they told us that it was a civil matter and I would have to take it to court. I just spent 9 years fighting for that house, and now I have to take them to court for something that they promised us? I couldn't tell my father. It would have killed him. To see that house come down with his plants that he nurtured all of his life there, he couldn't show up.